Hello and welcome. My name is Donna Cryer. I am the CEO and founder of the Global Liver Institute, which is an international patient-driven advocacy organization for liver health that works by promoting innovation and collaboration. Um, for this episode, I am joined by my guest, Chris Boyd, who is co-founder of Drink Monday, which is a craft non-alcoholic beverage company, and we're going to discuss the cultural phenomenon of dry January. Chris,
Thanks so
welcome.
much, Donna. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You're actually my first ever live stream interview.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're doubly honored to have you. So,
Yeah.
as those of you who've been watching GLI Live since it first started as our COVID-19 program, you know that we have pivoted, transformed, morphed into so much more based on your feedback. And that we are proud to share with you, our growing audience, current, important, and actionable information from the most informed, influential, and fascinating people that we can find. And I think this episode definitely qualifies as that. This guest definitely qualifies for um, so this is being filmed in the last week of January, which some people call dryuary, which is a sort of a mouthful. And it is a time when perhaps people have overindulged during the holidays in December. They take a moment to reevaluate their habits and decide to forego alcohol. We love it at the Global Liver Institute because it is a time when, if at no other time of the year, people think about their liver health and the habits that can support liver health. And of course, we'd like that to continue all year round. And so, to help make that not just a priority or a habit, a thing on your checklist or something to do. Although feel free to feel self-righteous and virtuous, if that makes you feel better. But we wanted to provide great solutions to keep this going throughout the year. And Chris, that is where you and your company, Drink Monday, come in. You have a
Yeah.
fantastic tagline. Free of alcohol, full of spirit. So maybe start us off by telling us what that means to you.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for that intro. I feel like I'll do my best to live up to that high billing. Free of alcohol, full of spirit, really, I think for us is it's an exclamation point to really like put a tagline across like, hey, taking care of your health and having a proper adult beverage that does not necessarily have alcohol in it can be fun and enjoyable. And I think there's the rise of a sober and sober curious movements coming live, and I think the old school idea of sobriety is that you had a severe problem with alcohol, you were an alcoholic, kind of this demonizing, if you will. And, I think more and more people just have, highs and lows. It's a spectrum of drinking and it can change at any moment. And, one of those things is like, hey, not drinking can also be a fun experience. You can go out with people, you can have a great time. If anything, we're learning a lot from the younger generations. Kind of, they don't have this hard wire to drink alcohol, but they still socialize with their friends. They go to bars, pre-COVID, they go to bars, they go to places, public places where alcohol and other drinks are served. But, they're saying no to alcohol, yes to a delicious beverage, and double yes to fun and having a good time, and showing that they don't need it to consume a certain substance. And that's what we're about. We want to highlight and celebrate that.
I think that's fantastic. We definitely need more celebrations. During the
Yeah.
pandemic, people have found, unique ways to stay close to their friends. I was reading somewhere that, some friendships are actually stronger, particularly those people who were very intentional about having those Zoom cocktail hours and
Yeah.
reinforcing. But you're right, you don't have to have an actual alcoholic beverage in that cocktail to share that special time with your friends.
Right, exactly. And, I think the Zoom happy hour probably helps that idea too. You still share the, hey, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? I think it's non-alcoholic spirits in general of my space. Like, I think it creates curiosity. They're like, what is that? And I think you unravel it because at first sometimes there's a visceral reaction of why would you do that? And, when you talk about some fine spirits, like, gin drinkers will tell you they love the taste of gin. And I'd say there's some type of spirits out there that, really aren't interested in taste, right? They're interested in getting down into the feeling with the substance. And, I think, but for gin, it's complex, it's layered, it has many different flavor profiles. You can't pick that up in like a seltzer water or, a soda drink, right? So I always call it like grown up or adult flavor profile, and people want that. And I'd say like, hey, we're not drinking for many reasons. Maybe your Zoom happy hour is Tuesday at 5 o'clock and you got some young kids running around, like waiting on dinner. You've got some other things going on. You're working from home. I'm sure the pressures at home have, doubled and tripled. And, the last thing you probably do is tolerate one too many. And now you're not sharp and you're unfocused and you might not get a good night's sleep the next day. And, it kind of snowballs into this effect. And, some people are just saying like, no, I still want that flavor profile. I still want my gin and tonic. And I'm going to have that at 5 o'clock, but it's not going to have alcohol in it now. And just having that available to people, I think is starting to make a difference in lives, at least based on the customers that, reach out to us and they're kind of, they burst with information and feedback. They're so excited to share like, hey, I'm getting everything I want out of this drinks experience and nothing that I don't. And it's been wonderful to see.
That's really, fabulous to think about, and wonderful that people share those stories with you. That is the habit, the ritual that is soothing, not necessarily the alcohol itself. And so I think it's wonderful that people brought a certain mindfulness to that. That it was the ritual. It was, and you made such an excellent point too about people being able to be present for their families, and for their careers, and for themselves, in this way, and sort of redefining self-care a little more holistically, a little more positively. So during these times where people are home, their kids, their family, right on top of each other. People are saying, this is the last time or the worst time that I could possibly give up alcohol, but it may be the best because you have time to really rethink things and you have this motivation to be, fully present for everybody who needs you. So I think it has an even deeper purpose than I had, first anticipated. Wonderful. Describe more about the community that has grown around, Drink Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the community has been fantastic. I really think it's the rise of you can research called sober curiousness or sober curiosity, right? And I think it's really this general idea that like drinking is a spectrum, right? It's not like you're an alcoholic or you're completely sober. I mean, there are those groups, but really most of us fall somewhere in the middle. And the premise is like, hey, at any given point in time, you maybe had a small problem with alcohol. And, if you stop and be more mindful and recognize, hey, maybe this is something that's happening, you can maybe back off that gas pedal a little bit. And I think if you're brave enough and mindful enough to do that, you should have some alternatives to those beverages, right? So your mind still wants, to your point, that ritual. They want that 5 o'clock, thing that I'm doing. I'm going to pour a drink, right? And I'm going to garnish it with some lime and I'm going to stir it like this. Like they are used to that, right? We're products of routine. And I think if you can do all of those things, still capture the essence of it with a different product, sans alcohol, you might actually find you're not as into alcohol as you thought, and you're not as dependent as you thought. So in a lot of ways, people reach out to us and say, like, you know, I gave this crazy thing a try because my neighbor or my friend or my family member, you know, said maybe give it a go. And it's like, it's really hitting it for me. And I was skeptical at first. We get a lot. I'm skeptical of this space. Like, I don't get it. But you know what? I tried it. I'm a believer now. You know, I also drink this. Do you have this type of spirit, or do you have this type of drink? And you know, I think it's beautiful, right? Because we're entrepreneurs. We're part of a small space, so I really consider it a community. There are no losers in the space, right? If you're helping people avoid alcohol a little bit, you're doing good. I'll be the first one to say, like, hey, maybe from a business perspective, it's not super smart, but people ask, like, hey, I also like non-alcoholic beer. And I was like, well, I'm from San Diego. I love beer. They wouldn't let me live here if I didn't. You know, here are the top 3 non-alcoholic beers. And
San Diego go-to.
yeah. So I'm a huge fan of adult drinks, I'd say, in general. So I'm always passing along recommendations. I feel like the industry is becoming more close-knit. It's really small entrepreneurs just getting together saying, like, hey, we still want the things that we want. We just don't want alcohol in them. How can we make that happen? Do others want to come along for the ride? It turns out many do. And you know, it's a beautiful time to be here. And I'm proud of, you know, Monday just supporting people who want to take on some brave goals. I think you just think overall, like, alcohol and just drinking of alcohol seems like a social norm, right? And it's thousands of years old probably at this point. It's a brave thing to say, like, I'm going to resist that social norm and I'm going to do me. And, you know, I think that's a beautiful thing to stand up to something like that. And, you know, there should be groups of support. There should be products that support that. And, you know, we're going to be one of those, because I think it was self-serving at first, right? As an entrepreneur, it's like, hey, why can't I get a gin drink, you know, with all the garnishes and with all the look and appeal and the taste without alcohol, you know? And when I didn't find that, I think that was the light bulb moment of, like, well, I know I can do it. So let's do this thing. Let's take the ride.
And I think that's how all the best and most successful entrepreneurs, they're meeting a need that they see. They're solving a problem. You know, I often use the Toni Morrison quote that if you can't find the book that you want to read it's because you were meant to write it. So you're your own story, and you're helping other people write their own stories. You know, being free and being liberated. You know, most people think that most liver disease is driven by alcohol, and that's actually not the truth. The most cases of liver disease are caused by viruses. And then we also have, you know, NASH, which is fatty liver disease. And although that's related to obesity in some ways, there are also many cases of lean NASH. So there are people who are very thin who also have non-alcoholic. It's specifically called non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. And so people are like, how can you think that we drink? It's literally called non-alcoholic hepatitis, as they go tell their families. And then there are, you know, folks like me with autoimmune disease. And so there are 100 different types of liver diseases, and most of them do not have nothing to do with alcohol. And so I think that's, you know, it is an important myth to, you know, to bust. I also think that you know, people, you know, don't realize that you know, for people who, you know, do have a problem with alcohol, and you're so right, you know, it's a spectrum from, you know, full addiction, disease, you know, alcohols to people who just have a disordered relationship. and that they have an exam and a dependence,
Right.
that and that habit can be broken. But many patients, even if their disease wasn't caused by alcohol, are asked by their doctors to refrain. And woe unto to them if they asked if they can take one drink on a Facebook group. That Facebook really vicious. I mean, like, how would how could you think about endangering your health? And of course, you understand it, particularly if you have a liver transplant. It's such a precious gift, and you want to do everything possible to preserve it. But also, given the second chance of life, that you want to live really fully. And so, if you can respect your transplant, respect your liver health, and still be a full participant. Not just I love a cup of ginger ale, extra ginger. But but if they could have a non-alcoholic gin and tonic with all the garnishes and be right out there with their friends, unapologetic, and really feel like that, full member of society, fully participating and embracing in life. That's why you get this gift for. That's why this miracles of medicine happen. Not so that you can hide, in your house, but that you can go out and, and live a full life. And so the fact that you make solutions that help people feel and be on an equal footing with their friends, and fully realize themselves and the lives that they want to lead in a way that respects their health is just so incredible. And I really, I thank you for it. I'm so excited about your success.
Oh man.
I mean, sure you're even more successful and put out more spirits, and we feature them at more things, because I think it's important.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for that. I mean, you're really speaking my language, and I think it speaks to the passion that me and my co-founding team really developed here, and that's why we started Monday, right? Because it's like, hey, want to be billionaires, or we'd be in financial services, right? So I think entrepreneurs here, definitely socially conscious and seeing the need, and it's really one of those. It's not spoken top of mind, right? I think, one of the things going around during COVID is being hunkered down with a bottle of wine while all this is going on in our world. And, I see that as a popular thing to share because it's funny, and in some cases definitely true. But, I think what we don't see is that next day, how does that feel? Or, what we see is there's 2-week swings where people go into dark periods where they're drinking, and hey, maybe their state is subject to a lockdown, or some more extreme measures than normal throughout the year, and they want to.
Church is closed, so
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you find your solace and your community when the alcohol is available to you, but the prayers and church community are not? I always found a little odd, and you do see rise, unfortunately, in opioid deaths, and I come from a background in the Justice Department, in the criminal division around protecting children. And so my first concern was about, you're not going to hear about cases of child abuse, not going to be able to get to the kids. We know that people's mental health have declined in this time. And so we want people to be able to have all the possible pillars and supports that are actually healthy for them and can help us all get through these times, and get to the other side in the best shape possible. And your solutions, do that in the best and most positive, fun ways. I also thinking the other day, it was very disappointing that they redid the national dietary guidelines, and the scientific advisory committee had suggested that men reduce their alcohol consumption to 1 alcoholic beverage a day, which is sort of the same for women. And there was so much pushback against that when they issued the final guidelines, they left it unchanged. They didn't go with the science.
Oh,
and so I think part of being able to support the science and to support the science-based recommendations for health is a culture and a climate where there are options like yours available to people, so that the committees and the deciders that be realize that, it is something that's doable. It's something that is feasible for a large number of people, and so that the science can match the policy.
Right. And I think one of the things putting Monday specifically aside, like I think the non-alcoholic beverage space should become more prevalent, and I hope it does, and kind of regardless of our own company success, because if those options are available, they're mainstream, they're everywhere people eat and drink, including their homes, but also bars and restaurants. I think you're going to see so many more people just jump in, and they're going to realize without government messaging or anything to that effect, they're going to figure out for themselves, like, wow, I feel so much better. I'm getting everything I want out of this. And then I can still do whatever I want to do with my life afterwards, right? There's no like recovery period. You wake up and you're sharp, you're feeling fresh. You can take on the day, and taking on the day with a fresh head and a sharp mind is so much more powerful, and you can get so much more done, and you can be in the moment and actually remember those types of things in a positive way. And I think people naturally are very smart, and they're going to figure that out as long as those options are available to them, right? But I think if you look at it black and white, it's like, hey, when I'm going out, or it's 5 o'clock, it's like, it's alcohol or it's tap water, and it's first, I think it's the alternative, right? The alternative isn't good. It doesn't scratch my itch. So I'm just going to do what I did, and I'm going to deal with those things, because I think as a group of humans, we all understand what it means to have a hangover. So there's some sort of camaraderie there, which I think is a little messed up. And I'm like, well, we could have this camaraderie around being sharp-minded and clear-headed and crushing our days, and making the most out of this time we have on this planet, right? And treating others well and all that good stuff. So I think the more accessible good stuff is, and people try them, the better things like this will get. That's my premise, at least.
I love it. And so, we were talking about before, and I don't think you'll mind mentioning it, you have a CrossFit background, part of the cult of Peloton.
Yeah.
I know. So, where that being clear-minded to be able to perform both physically and for our businesses, for the people who depend on us, and for the goals we want to reach is important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think fitness for me, it sounds like for you too, definitely, it's competitive, right? And then I think you have this small community around you that holds you accountable. And if you had one too many the night before, you're not able to bring your A game, and you're not able to compete, and you're just like, you're letting yourself down, in my opinion, right? So it's like, I want to do the best I can do. I want the fastest time, or I want, the highest number of reps, or the heaviest amount of weight, in the CrossFit's case. And, and I have training partners that are right there alongside me. And that's like, I need every edge I can for a chance to beat them in this particular workout, and that's every day. And we're getting fitter and stronger as a result. And I love those results, right? So it's, I just turned 39. And I feel like I'm the fittest I've ever been, including, at age 22 or 23 in college, where you're bulletproof, right? And like, that's a cool thing to do. I hope to be able to keep saying that for as long as possible. I don't know that if I'm showing up a couple days a week hungover to the gym, that's ever going to be the case, right? So it really becomes like, hey, what do I need in my life? What are the supporting items that are needed to achieve the things that I want to achieve? And I think it's the same thing to your point in work. Not only entrepreneurs like us, but anybody who wants to pursue their dreams in the professional world, get that next step up, create this amazing new initiative, get this project done. Those types of things don't just happen if you show up. Showing up is important, but how are you showing up? Are you as clear-minded and motivated as possible? Did you do the right things the days before to get you to this point? Because if not, there's someone next to you that did show up like that, and now you're at a disadvantage. So it's really just setting yourself up for success based on what you want to achieve.
I love that. So it sounds to me like this isn't just a moment or a trend, but a movement. And so what are your plans for growth? What is next for you and your partners and your company?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely a movement. We're seeing people really taking hold of their own health and fitness, and products like ours definitely fit into that mainstream culture. I think we're going to be there pretty soon. For us, it's about reaching as many people as possible. So hey, we started here in California. We serve all 50 states. We're available online. I think going international to places that make sense for us. The UK is where Dry January actually started in that trend. So the UK and EU make a ton of sense. But I think we just want to open up and be global, right? Take this idea truly mainstream across the globe. We'd love to serve more people. So that also means, hey, I love gin. My partners love gin. Not everybody loves gin, right? So I think we have to create additional types of spirits to really scratch more itches. And, I think we're looking towards whiskey. We're looking towards like a tequila. We're just things that I think are more mixable, more fun, that, are favorable to more palates. Because again, it's not about what you're drinking, but it's like being on equal footing with others and having a good time while you're doing it. So, hey, gin's not your thing, no worries. We got you. We have a whiskey, we have a tequila, we have a this, we have a that. Whatever we can do to support more drinkers and more people trying to make brave and awesome decisions.
Well, you've gone global today.
Yeah.
We actually have quite a following in the UK.
Cool.
So I'll say a special shout out to the PBCs and our friends in Scotland. So
Cool.
then you'll have to give this a try, and I'll issue that challenge to you.
Perfect. I love it.
To do this, to give this a try. But I just want to thank you for helping me have so much fun today on such an important topic, and creating an option for people, whether they have liver health issues or just want to make sure they never have liver health issues,
Yeah.
to have a fun, full solution to have, so that they can be their best and show up for themselves, for their families, and for the world. So this has been great. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Anytime we can talk about something, we're passionate about, it's a win. So appreciate it.
Fantastic. And so thank you everybody who watched us today, or caught us on our website, on YouTube, or any of our platforms. Join us next week and throughout the next month, a very special month. February is Rare Disease Month, and so we will be doing a series on rare liver diseases. So come learn about things that you may never have heard of before. Maybe I'll even tell my own personal story with a rare liver disease. You'll have to watch to find out. I just want to thank you and have a great day, and maybe have a non-alcoholic beverage as part of that day. Be well, stay safe, stay connected. Until next time, thank you.